This episode is brought to you by Mortgage Workflow Partners and the Mastering Encompass series, both for users as well as administrators. You can find out all the information about it over at masteringencompass.com. Also, if you'd like to check out what we're doing on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the channel using the @MasteringEncompass handle. And make sure you stay up to date on all the information, not just with podcasts, but also video content that we bring to you as often as possible. Now let's get on to the episode. Hey everyone, welcome. My name's Larry Bailey. We're coming to you live from ICE X25. We've got a great show for you to go through. We got 4 big guests coming on. We've got Housing Wire here, Mortgage Champions, SharkeyByte, and Adopt the Brand. We're going to have a lot of guests here. I want you to stay tuned. We've got just 15-minute segments with each guest so we can make sure that we get in and out. We're going to ask some really important questions, things that only they can tell us from their perspective. And let's get going. Hey, welcome back, everyone. We're going to now switch the conversation to Zach with SharkeyByte. Zach, welcome.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having us on. We are honored to be a part of this. Thank you, Larry.
Grateful to have you. So just for the audience, who are you? Why do you matter? What are you trying to do in terms of the industry to make a difference?
That's a good question. So what we do is we are a software provider. We provide SDK as well as API software for all the lenders out there. Our main focus is a smaller to medium-sized lender, although we're open to servicing everybody.
Okay.
But our main focus is being client-driven, so we really try to focus on our client feedback and provide not just tools, but as well as pricing that fits everybody.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So, but it's in terms of technology, like it's light bulbs, or what kind of tech is it?
Good question. So we offer a plugin suite. Our plugin suite is a little bit unique. It's a single plugin architecture. Has a lot of big advantages. Our other technology package that we offer is an API workflow technology that works pretty similar to how Encompass Web's workflow technology works.
Okay.
We just try to fill in some gaps and things that they're not offering, and we try not to double over them.
Yeah, and that's all right. So big conversation, obviously. Last year, it seems like forever ago, but last year, ICE drops an email on everybody. Through Housing Wire, who's here earlier in the podcast. Yeah. And the concept was SDK is going away, right? It's sunsetting, blah, blah, blah. APIs, you got to go. People like kind of really get emotional about that moment.
Definitely.
I think it's going to live in our ethos, just like the blackout of April 1st, 2017.
Yeah, people still have PTSD.
Yeah, we all do. We all do.
Absolutely.
So you built a business, right? It's a younger business.
Yep.
Right? You're trying to disrupt what's going on.
Yep.
Your angle is, hey, let's make it easier. Let's make it effective. Let's not replicate what's available native.
Correct.
So how do you manage that, right? With Mortgage Workflow Partners, I'm always trying to focus on workflow before tech. Always trying to work on native automation and native settings before turning to any third-party customizations.
Absolutely.
So how do you develop this stuff, so you must see the gaps.
Absolutely. We try to stay up to date as much as we can with all the releases and all the releases ahead of time.
Yeah.
And so again, we try not to double up on anything. That's our main focus. We only try to extend stuff that's an additional usage or that can actually increase their experience, provide a better experience for them with Encompass products.
So one of the things that you do that's a little bit different is you actually can listen to a customer. They're like, hey, it'd be great if blah, blah, blah. And you evaluate and you're like, you know what? That's probably not only good for that customer, it's probably good for everyone.
Yep.
And so you're actually really unique. How the heck do you do that? Is that just because of the way the architecture is, or?
Absolutely. So because of the way the architecture is and because of how we deploy everything, we actually have an idea portal. And everything that anybody puts in there, as long as it makes sense, and so far we haven't turned anything away.
Okay.
Everything that everybody puts in
there. Is
there.
that a challenge, by the way?
I've been doing this for so long that it really isn't. I probably should say
no,
it is.
But is that are you issuing a challenge to everyone listening? Like they should come up with ideas?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, and to be honest with you, you don't need to be a customer to input ideas either.
Okay.
You don't. So everything that we do is completely transparent. Just register on our website. And you can see all of the idea history, all of the bug history.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Release history. Absolutely.
Okay.
And we actually just recently came out with a completely free tool, a setting extract tool that you can go on there and download. Doesn't require.
Yeah, I read about that.
Yeah.
So everybody's listening. So one of the biggest things in workflow review and and getting that set up is knowing what your system has.
Right.
And getting those out of Encompass in terms of the settings can be tough. There's
Absolutely.
a lot of stare compare, but it's much easier on an Excel sheet. So they can go download that, and they can go pull their settings out. They can go, oh, okay, we've got this issue.
Absolutely.
Let's go manage it somehow. Okay.
Absolutely. And then again, for our plugin product, what makes us, kind of unique is you don't actually have to get a hold of us to download our stuff. So we don't do any high pressure sales tactics. You can actually just register under 60 seconds, download our full suite to your test environment.
To the TEB, yeah.
Yep, try it out as long as you want. We don't put any limits on it. And then if and when you're ready to subscribe, again, you can head right back to SharkeyByte.com, using our Stripe integration, and subscribe. You don't ever have to get a hold of us if you need, but we're always there for you if you need us.
That's very cool.
And we don't have any, weird hidden costs or anything like that. We charge just one price for our subscription. Another super important thing is we don't do any lengthy contracts. We believe in our software, so everything we do is month to month. Yeah, absolutely.
It's a big deal. The same thing we run at my company. Like we'll do sometimes, depending on the engagement, we'll do sometimes like a minimum number of months up front because we've got some resources that we've front loaded.
Yeah.
But then after that, we go month to month because my attitude is, hey, listen, if it's not working out, and we can't fix it, whatever it is, please go do something else. Please find happiness.
Yeah, it's a terrible experience if, there's something better out there and they feel locked in. I mean, that's terrible.
Yeah, it can lead to a lot of friction that nobody really needs.
Absolutely. And we're pretty reliant on that, and we've never had anybody drop.
So you go through and they can go to your site, they download, they're like, oh man, this is really cool, and it's only $1,000 a month. Like, why are we paying more to this other company, whatever the other company is, or why do we still have devs working for us to still develop this stuff? But you may not hear it because you're not really on the phone like selling.
Right.
But if you had to, think about reasons why customers are like, no, I know it's cheaper and better, but we're still going to stay where we are. Do you hear that?
The only reason, honestly, that we hear that is people being locked into contracts, honestly.
It's a contract thing.
It's a contract thing. That's the only thing we hear. And then what we'll do for people sometimes is, let's say their contract's expiring 3 months from now. We'll obviously they can download it to test, but if they need to put it in their production environment a little bit early and before they're subscribing, our thing is working with people, right? We really want to provide a good experience, and if that means we need to be flexible, then we try to be as flexible as we can.
I love it.
Absolutely.
So when it comes to the conference, obviously, for me at least, it's been a banner experience.
Yeah.
How's it been for I'm going to ask you a two-part question. How's it been for you here? Number one, now, this is not your first conference, so do you notice a difference from other conferences to this one? So.
Absolutely. I mean, honestly, primarily because of the whole SDK sunset, there's a lot of PTSD going around, people trying to figure out what's the messaging, what are they supposed to be doing, where they spend their resources. That's been the main thing this year.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And so, in terms of flow, attitude, like energy, are you sensing anything that really makes this year special for not only SharkeyByte, but also for the conference? You sensing anything?
Yeah, honestly, people are really excited to see all the stuff that comes out at these conferences, and this year especially, ICE has been really pumping a lot of stuff into the web.
Yeah.
So people are, very excited to try and figure out, how do we use the web? How do we do custom forms? What services? How do we use the workflow technology? That's been a huge one as well.
Didn't you do something, and I'm trying to reach here from memory, so if I'm wrong, I'm sorry, but didn't you do something about helping clients convert desktop input form builder to web?
Absolutely. So
right. I thought that was pretty. I first saw it and I'm like, who's going to use it? But are people using it?
Yeah. Yep. So it's still, I would say, in beta right now.
So it's beta thing.
So we still have
that's
about.
It's got to be tricky.
It is
really tricky.
It is, right? Because in the legacy input form builder, there is no rigid structure to how you set that up. It's the Wild West.
Yeah, it's pixel by pixel.
Yep. And in the new web, it's, a JSON schema-based thing to where it's very, very more organized and structured. So that conversion process is very tricky. Very tricky. But with what we've done, again, that's part of our Ocean product, and we have a lot of static applications coming out for Ocean just like that.
Okay.
But it takes, less than 15 seconds to drag and drop your old form, pull all the new field bindings, and we do our best to pull your design over to the new logic, download, import, you're all set.
I gotcha.
So
yeah, it's a sensitive situation for me because I'm always trying to explain to people, do not take your desktop and just think you're going to put it into web. Like,
yeah, you really
let's
need to think about
evaluate
it.
the workflow. But there are some input forms that do need to go into web because of whatever the team is doing tied into that workflow. So
Absolutely.
so I'm appreciative of it. So that's cool. When you just as a parting question here, when you look at over the next 12 months, right? So between now and this time next year for the next conference,
Yeah.
what do you see the industry doing? Our clients, right? Our clients and future clients out here. What do you think that they're going to be doing with their companies in terms of native tech versus automation, third-party tech? Like, where do you see the balance? Do you have any eyesight on that?
Honestly, the biggest thing I think for people is figuring out what they need and what they don't. And they've been doing that, for the last little bit here, but they've been so, anxiety driven by it that I don't think people have had enough time to really think
Oh,
about,
that's interesting. Okay.
what they actually need to transition. They've
Still
been
a
so
little
focused.
whiplash, huh?
Yeah, they've been
Okay.
so focused on like we need to get everything over that I think it'll be a little more helpful with the messaging that's changing a little bit to say, okay, what are the heavy hitters? How do we move those over to the web or the APIs? And then, spend the resources on the web rather than trying to spend all your resources moving stuff over from the SDK.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Any questions for me as we wrap up?
No, last thing, I do have a question, but last thing that I would like to, kind of mention is something that kind of differentiates us is, again, we're one plugin.
That is different.
And why that, yeah, and why that can be such a huge thing is,
interestingly enough, is that's going to tie in really well to the upcoming framework for implementing plugins on web.
right.
So we got to see. So that actually, I don't know if you that's just a coincidence, but great planning.
Yeah, and we, we're able to shave our customers like login times down from like a minute and a half down to like 20 seconds, depending on how many plugins they have.
Almost like they don't have plugins.
Yeah, because we're only one, with all of our tools on, it's less than a second of initialization. We're able to really control that.
Yeah, you should. I bet you show people on a demo. They're like, "No, you don't have plugins running." You're like, "No, they're
Right.
there."
Yeah, everything is so fast that people are really amazed at the whole suite, how quick everything is. Absolutely.
Anything you want to know from me?
What are you guys most excited to see in the next 12 months? Because you guys,
I'm excited to see people document their workflow.
Yeah,
It's all I care about. I just want people to make sure they know exactly what people are doing because, again, we've got 3 huge releases coming from ICE. I've seen, we got 25.1 this weekend. We've got 25.2 already going to code lockdown next week. 25.3, they're already coding right now. And so all these changes, you got to have a solid workflow.
absolutely.
And so that's my hope is between now and next year. I constantly ask everybody, do you have your workflow documented? They're like, hell yeah. That would be my hope.
I gotcha.
We're working on it.
Yeah. Well, I'm really excited to see what you've been doing at your company. And, you guys have such a great team. And we're always pushing as many people over to you guys because you guys honestly are the experts out here as far as how to use the native functionality, how to use the new web workflow tech. And yeah, you guys are awesome.
Appreciate it.
You
Very
bet.
much, Zach. Hey,
Yeah, you bet.
Thanks for coming in today.
You bet.
Enjoy the rest of your conference.
Thanks for having us.
Appreciate it.
Honored, Larry.
Do well.